Alright, this is a little bit new setup, so I'm going to try to give it a shot. I wanted to answer some questions about some bump keys, and I thought I'd start, this is a quick set key. It opens this deadbolt, just like normal, like a normal house key would, just like that. And as you can see here, there's 5 pins, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for the 5 flat spaces here. And so as you look, as we get up close here, there's going to be 5 flat spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if it'll focus here. So it's there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you have a bump key, when you have another quick set key here, when you put your when you make your saw blade, and this goes for all bump keys, anytime you make a bump key of all kinds, the valleys have to match up with where the flats are. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the easiest way to do that is I have a key blank here, or it's close to one. It's a partially screwed up key that it was a discard from a hardware store. I got them to give me a deal on. And so what I do is I take them and I get my trusty dusty clip here, like that, and I clip them together and I make sure they lined up. Make sure that the stops are lined up and the nose is lined up. It's pretty much the easiest way to do it. And once that's done, I just take a permanent marker and I just kind of mark where the middle is of each flat spot here. Oops. And once I got the middle, so I got 5 lines there. So now that that's done, now I know when I make this key that I'm going to file on those lines. Now I always cheat real quick. This may be loud for a second here, so let me put my safety glasses on here real quick. Or actually, I'll do it this way. This will be quieter. I'll just make a quick little mixer. And the only reason I do that is because that way when I stick the file on there, it's going to be way easier. And then I remark them, because permanent marker wears off of a key really easily. You can just rub it off with your fingers. So it looks like I actually touched my house key a little bit on accident. All for the sake of the video. It's alright. Let's see if it still works. Think it'll work? Oh, it does. So I didn't, even though I nicked it there, I didn't destroy it. So, all right. So now we know where we're at, and we'll take and we'll vise that up, and we will file that. Now, the big thing here when you do that is you have to use a square file. Now, I don't know if let's see if this will focus here. Now we got 2 different files here. We've got a square file and a triangle file. These are jeweler's files, very small, cheap set. I think I got these ordered from China, and I only paid $4 for the whole set. And I could file a key, no problem with these. Now there's no difference between this big file here, this big square file from Walmart, and this little tiny file here, because if I take and I put them on, say, this Schlag key here, that's already kind of becoming a bump key, it's going to be the same correct angle already as a square file that it needs to be, no matter whether it's the big one or the little one, which is the same. Now, if you try to use a triangle file, that angle is not correct. If you see there, there's space on both sides, and your angle is going to be so sharp that your key is not going to pop back out, and it's not going to bump correctly, and you're not going to get even spacing when you try to make the key down the line. So as long as you use a square file, it doesn't matter what size it is, you're going to get even spacing all the way down. And as long as you're pretty much, on the lines that you made, as long as you have any key, it doesn't have to be for the lock that you're doing, just any key of that type, of that brand. And honestly, I mean, I got a million keys here, and I tell you, as long as if you're doing I've looked at so many keys, and to be quite honest, take a master lock. If you're doing a master lock, an M1 key may be the same as a Y11 key as far as pin spacing goes. But the pin spacing on an M1 and an M10 are going to be different, or the pin spacing on an M4 or an R4, are going to be different because the lock brand changes, or so all that is going to be different per lock. So you're going to file that down, and I won't waste everyone's time, but you'll file this down, and these will all come down, and they'll start to form. And as you file them down, you'll want to file them down to the deepest point possible. Notice the difference here. On a key that has a deepest point, now the easiest way I found is to go online and look at pictures of bump keys on Google, and look at a picture of a bump key set that you can buy, and see how far down they go on this warding. If they go all the way down to this warding line, then you know that you need to take your file and take your valleys all the way down to that warding line. If they stop, up here, then try to find a number or letter, or try to find a point of reference. This mark on this valley, or try to find different angles of the key online, and try to find out where you need to stop. If you don't own a copy of the key, you're probably not going to be able to make a bump key. Or, I mean, not a copy of the key, but if you can't find this pin spacing, then you're not going to be able to make a working key, because each one of the pins has to be able to be struck at the same time in order for a bump key to work. The pins all have to be technically sitting in the valleys, and all have to be above the shear line. That's the whole point, is for them to all be bumped up above the shear line and caught and turned all at once. So if they're getting in different order and not all at once, then that's why bump keys fail. So if you get the incorrect spacing, your bump key won't work, and that's why they don't. And that's why they'll fail. And I've made some that were wrong, and you sit there and you pound it away, and you don't know why it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden you find your key and you match it up, and you realize, oh shoot, I'm off on this front one by a whole notch. Dang, man! So the whole time I've been bumping 4 pins correctly, and this one has been bumping completely separate from all the other ones. So while all these ones are up in the air above the shear line, This one is over here doing its own thing like an idiot, and it's the one that's keeping you from opening the lock every single time. And so, you know, as soon as you make the key right, bam, then you win. It's game over. So, you know, and so that's, I hope that answers some questions for some people and points some people in the right direction to making better bump keys. Because it's another way to attack a lock. If you can't pick it, bump key. And, you know, I think it was Bill, Bosnian Bill said that if they beef up security in one area, then they may have overlooked it in another area. So, you know, if you can't win in one spot, then try another way. All right, well, I hope that helps, and thanks a bunch for watching. Everyone stay safe and stay legal.